What is going on, everybody? This is Slick from Breaking the Clutch, and today I am back with an awesome video. Yesterday we were blessed by Sketch and his 343 stream. Albeit through some spotty quality issues, we were able to see the new DLC leader for Halo Wars 2 is going to be none other than Sergeant Johnson. That is just absolutely incredible. I love Sergeant Johnson. Every single ounce of Halo that has Sergeant Johnson in it is just the best. So seeing him as a leader, even though it's not the same voice actor, is awesome. In particular, as we normally do here, I'm going to break down all of the gameplay aspects, all the new units, abilities, all that, just so we can see what they'd kind of do in the current meta of the game, how they play competitively and against other leaders and things like that. In particular, I'm super excited about the new unit that Johnson's going to get, and that is the Mantis. So the Mantis, it's a Halo 5 rec, also in Halo 4, I think was the first time you get to use it. Mantis is awesome, really fun vehicle in the FPS. I'm really excited to use it as a unit in Halo Wars 2. Now, in particular, the Mantis replaces the Warthog for Johnson. So that means you have to put down a garage to produce a Mantis, and you cannot make Warthogs as Johnson, which is kind of sad because, you can't. The Warthogs are such a staple unit in the vehicle army of the UNSC, but I will be okay with this because with the Mantis, first thing, Mantises are 400 supply, 0 power. They are 5 population per Mantis, so it's a little bit. It's basically Warthog, it's solid. And then at the same time as well, you get various upgrades. Say all vehicle upgrades will benefit the Mantis, and Mantis gets firstly a Wreck Shield, which is a 600 power upgrade, I believe. And that Wreck Shield is something very beneficial for the Mantis. Gives them, say, exactly that, a shield. Funny that they put Wreck in there based off of Halo 5. And then after that, you can also get a Gauss upgrade for the Mantis. So that's something that's really great and really awesome to see. I think they're going to be good. They're not as fast as Warthogs. Speed's really low, but it definitely, especially with a shield, their abilities in general are going to be incredibly great. Just say like their use, I should say. Now, when you have Mantises mixed in, I'd say if you did like a Mantis Wolverine ball and you started walking that across the map, you'd have a very versatile army there. And it would be very difficult to stop under certain circumstances. So I'm pretty excited about that concept, and I'd like to see it in the game. Now, also moving on, same thing, since Johnson is going to be a mech-heavy leader, he is also able to produce this new unit called a Colossus. Now, the Colossus is a heavy mech. It almost looks like something that wouldn't be in Halo, honestly. It's a giant-ass piece of metal, and it's got railgun attachments, it's got a long-range autocannon, it's got all these crazy things. It's pretty scary looking and intimidating. It can also stomp, that's its ability, because its speed is so damn slow. It looks like it's going to be good against a lot of different things. It's except air. I think air is its biggest weakness. But I'm pretty sure it does great against other vehicles. Infantry and buildings are okay, I'm pretty sure. So it's okay. It's a solid unit. The scariest thing about the Colossus is that it's 9 population, which is really high. I think it's just because they're high HP. Say when you look at one, you see how many health bars it has. It is pretty ridiculous. And on top of that as well, let's talk about spending. 750 supply and 120 power to make one Colossus. Now, another thing you could think about too is that, okay, so I could have, say, a solid army. I could run an army that's, say, Cyclops, Wolverines, and a Colossus, and I'd have a pretty solid army because the Colossus could be protected by the Wolves as kind of meat shields, as you will. You had Cyclops from a barracks, and then you made Wolves and Colossus out of, say, 2 garages on a base in an expo. And you could have a pretty solid, well-balanced army. And, of course, as well, the Colossus are so absolutely slow, as you're going to see here. I'm going to put a lot of footage. Like, I don't know if they're going to be extremely viable in that aspect. Of course, they're not going to be available till Tech 3 as it is, so you're not going to see a lot of them if you're a very aggressive player and you attack Johnson right away. But if a Johnson player is able to get into the Tech 3 zone, you're going to see some very interesting play out of the stronger mech units. Another thing I want to talk about as well is Sergeant Johnson himself. So, of course, you cannot have a leader without having a special hero based off of that leader. Seeing Sergeant Johnson on a Halo battlefield again is pretty awesome, but more importantly, I don't know how viable Johnson is going to be. Of course, I'm very skeptical about, say, doing leader all-ins, and a lot of you guys know that I always hate on, say, Hunter Captain all-ins and, Kansano all-ins and all that shit. But with Johnson in particular, one very very strong aspect he has is that drop heal. And we show right here is that he has the ability to just hit Y and then he throws out a regen, you know, from like Halo 3, and he drops a regen, and then all of a sudden that area of effect has healing properties. So that's kind of cool. I think that's pretty neat. That could make him very viable in, say, mid to late game engagements, which I think is honestly fantastic. Seeing a leader that's actually viable is important. The Hunter Captain is one of the more viable leaders for, say, armies and compositions. Not so much an all-in, and Sergeant Johnson might be able to fit in that as well. So for Sergeant Johnson as well, we have 450 power, 450 supply to create one of the Johnsons. The description here is ranged hero, powerful rapid-fire minigun, rapidly recharging shield. So that's kind of cool. I think that's pretty neat. Looks like you can also get a couple upgrades as well. Looks like a railgun upgrade and a couple other things to increase damage overall. But overall, I'm pretty sure this suit is actually from Halo Legends. I could be wrong. You guys correct me in the comments, but this is an old school thing. It's a prototype suit, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. All right, so now lastly in the Johnson arsenal, I want to talk about the leader powers and abilities. These are very awesome. The first leader power Johnson gets is remote sensors. Remote sensors increases line of sight for all building and capture points. That's incredibly crucial early to late game. That makes me think that Johnson could be a good defensive leader. Say, at least you get a lot of vision on the map. I think that's great. Of course, units do not get that benefit, but say buildings and say power nodes, things like that do, I believe. Second leader ability for Johnson is restoration drones. That's pretty standard. Also really good to have early game. Moving on, we got digging in, which is add health siphoning to standard turrets, reduces cost of bunker and turret drops. You can also upgrade this one more time. Digging in, that sounds absolutely crazy. So you can add every single time a turret is shooting. That's good for holding off rushes in particular. Like let's say Johnson could just throw down. That's honestly ridiculous. Johnson could just throw down, say, 2 turrets against a chopper like a Decimus or Atriox. I honestly think that the turrets could probably hold that off if they have digging in. By the time, I'd say, yeah, you get your second leader power by the time that say an aggressive player would show up at your base around 4 minutes 30. I'd say that's really great. And you also have another option to get bunker drop, which is drops a garrisonable bunker, and it also costs population. You can upgrade that as well. I'm assuming when you upgrade that, it gives it say maybe higher HP or longer longevity. It would stay on the map for a longer time. But say my point of that is that if say you scattered well enough. Let's say you went remote sensors first, and then you went and got power node as quickly as possible in the middle of the map. And you're able to spot, say, if the opponent is going choppers, which you can usually tell if you, say, go for power crates right off the bit. You'd see a chopper there show up every time. So if you go for power crates as soon as possible, you see, oh shit, yep, there's a chopper. And then you can say, okay, I need to go straight in for digging in as soon as possible. As opposed to, say, if you want to go straight into a Marine Flame attack, then what you could do with that is you could go Marine Flame as quickly as possible, 2 racks, all in kind of situation, and then do a bunker drop and drop a bunker, and then just load up all your Marines into that, or say, or flamethrowers if you need to save those from getting rammed. But I think that would really help depending on the situation. Moving on, we have Emp Mac Blast, which is fire a Mac round which disables enemy air and vehicle units and boosts damage of friendly air and vehicles. That is pretty awesome. You can also upgrade it once as well. Firing a Mac round that disables enemy air and vehicles. So that means that when you fire a Mac Blast, not only does it do a good amount of damage, from what I saw, it doesn't look as strong as a Isabel Mac. But it does look still strong in a sense that, say, it does a good amount of damage. But ignoring the damage, say, all air and vehicle units do stop moving. They are actually frozen for a second. They cannot attack and they cannot move for a couple of seconds. And what that also does is it also boosts the damage of your friendly air and vehicles. So that means yours, that means your teammates, you're playing team games, whatever. So that could be something that's very good for taking out locusts and let's say a locust reaver ball. You drop a Mac Blast on that, man, oh my god, you're going to absolutely rinse everything. Especially, let's say you got a teammate who's running, say, like Decimus choppers into Banshees. Then what they do, Banshees come flying over, you drop a Mac round on a bunch of locusts and reavers, man, you melt every single one of those bastards. The Banshees get some extra damage, and then that's just absolutely crazy. Moving on from that, we have Pelican Transport. Of course, this is classic, just like Sergeant Forge. Transfer units from point to point without vision. That's great. Of course, in the old Halo Wars 1 game, you needed to have vision, so that's something great. Siege turret drop, pretty self-explanatory. You drop a siege turret in the middle of the battlefield, and it starts spreading, just raining absolute hell down upon any kind of army, especially infantry units, I should say. So that's going to be pretty exciting to see. Mech overcharge, and this is going to be, a lot of people are talking about, oh my god, I'm worried about this. This is going to be crazy. A lot of people are saying, oh my god, it's not going to do anything. I'm kind of in between. I don't really see too much benefit to it. For a short time, all mechs you control become invulnerable and receive a speed boost, and you can't upgrade it again. I believe Sketch said that it lasts for about 5 seconds. It's really not that much of an amount of time. In an engagement, it could make a huge difference in, say, a big army. Let's say especially if you have a couple Colossus and Mantis mixed in, you're going to see some serious damage come out of an army for those upgrades. Combat salvage. While active, the first 8 non-infantry units you lose in combat will respawn at your base. That's pretty neat. And then the final thing to match digging in deep. Purchase to construct any base building slot for free. Also affects buildings, mini bases, and beyond. Because I say beyond because I also saw Sketch try to make some buildings and they were actually free. So that's pretty crazy. I think it's just a really cool concept. I'm not sure if you only get one base out of that leader power. I think you actually might get a few. I don't know if there's a cooldown. I couldn't see in the gameplay if that was the case. If you guys did in the comments section below, let me know. But I think that's a really cool concept. So Sergeant Forge was great for economy purposes as a DLC leader, but looks like Sergeant Johnson is going to be a little bit better in terms of, say, in terms of late game expoing and controlling the map. I think that's great, especially say if you could just build a building and then you don't have to worry about your eco. Even though 500 supply, 200 power isn't that much, say like 15 minutes in the game, but I still think that still think that's a big help, especially if you can just build a base without spending anything where your opponent cannot. Sorry guys, I'm not really going to talk about Blitz at all. I apologize for that. I think the Blitz cards are really cool as well. They're very similar to these leader abilities, units, and all of that. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're stoked for Johnson. This is going to be damn cool. They've just been on a great trend ever since they dropped Colony. Like, Colony was probably the most badass thing ever to happen in Halo in the last, I don't know, maybe 6 years. So to see Sergeant Johnson come back as well, I'd say they're striking some good chords with Halo fans right now, and I think that's exactly what they need to do. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Slick from Breaking the Clutch. If you think of any cool strategies with Johnson, leave them in the comment section below. And lastly, if you watched this far, please check out our community Discord server. There you can find, say, other players trying to find matches. You can also, say, party up with friends, make some new friends, talk strategies, or just chat with us in general. So please, guys, check out the link in the description below for the Discord and come join up the community, where I think we're at over 100 followers at this point. So it's great to see all you guys coming out in the Discord fam. Damn awesome. So anyway, guys, once more, thanks for watching.